When you have that kind of success, the Dil Chahta Hai success, which informed sort of the pop culture for an entire generation. And I had a sound of Shankar Ehsaan Loy in the show. We were talking about the music of that.
The music was amazing.
I mean, still current, still sort of, so valid on every watch. When you have that success and you sit down at your computer again saying, I have to write, how do you, what goes on that paper? Because you're already
but I'm sorry, I'll just share one story since you mentioned Ehsaan and the music. When the music was ready, so we went out and met the various studios at that time who could release the music. Almost with the exception finally of Bhushan, of T-Series, who came on board to take the music and do it. Everyone else that we met, completely rejected it. It's not even, they just couldn't understand the album, because it was a different time, I guess. So, I remember very, very clearly, and obviously without taking names. So the one head of this really, really massive label. So he came in, and of course, because Dad was working in lyrics already at that time, so he kind of knew all of them. So this one guy came in and he kind of implied in a certain kind of way at that time that, listen, I've come because your dad has asked me to, kind of thing that he didn't seem very interested to start with. And then the music played, and by the third song, he got a phone call and while the music was playing, he went off. And we were like, what's going on here? This are we doing something wrong? We don't know. So again, it's music that we enjoyed, but none of us thought it will have the kind of legs, that it has. But yeah, it was quite and a great time working with these guys, with Shankar Ehsaan Loy.
Yeah.
They really are very cool. Sorry, you were asking me something about the writing.
I was asking you about how do you move forward from such massive success? Because then you have the weight of fear of failure after that, right?
I think the biggest challenge is how do you psychologically put it behind you?
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing, and similarly, if something doesn't work, you have to do the same exercise again.
Yes.
It's more difficult to do when it doesn't work than it is to do when it's successful, because I think failure can weigh you down a lot more. It can make you question your choices. It can make you question whether this is for you, or it's not.
Is it time to wrap this up?
Yeah, with success, you don't have those issues. It's easy for it to be heady and kind of just hang your coat on that one thing and then, just kind of create your orbit just around that one thing. Yeah. But it's important to let it go, and I feel like with films, once you've put a film out there, it actually in a weird way no longer really, really belongs to you. It belongs to everyone, it really does. So that's how I've kind of programmed myself to keep moving forward, regardless of what happens. But I was confused about what to do when Dil Chahta Hai gained the kind of praise that it did and the success that it did. Because like I mentioned earlier, I didn't have any plan of, this is going to be this is going to be my career, that I will now be a writer and a director, or that I will be a director. I think it was heading in that direction with the kind of work, of course, that I was doing, but it happened suddenly. It did happen suddenly. It happened, I think, way faster than I imagined it happening. So at that point, I was very confused about what I wanted to do and what kind of film I should make. I was clear that I didn't want to make a similar kind of film again. Like that I knew I didn't want to do. And that's really when the story of Laksh came along and just completely grabbed me by the scruff of my neck and said, come on, let's go.